Hello everyone, welcome to today's class, and in this class we are covering brain death and its types. It comes under the topic thanatology. Okay, so we all know that what thanatology means. It is the scientific study of death and its all aspects. Okay, so that's why we are covering brain death today. Okay, so we will understand what is brain death and what are its types. Okay, so we will start with the moment of death. So as we all know that death is not an event. Okay, it doesn't come suddenly. It is a process, right? So death is a process, or if we see that medically and legally, the concept of death was that if heart and respiration stops. So historically, I'm saying medically, legally, and historically, the concept of death is when the heart and respiration stops. So spontaneous stoppage of heart and lung function, we can say it is death. When the heart and lung function stops, we can say it is death. Okay, heart lung bypass machines and mechanical respirators and other devices, however, have changed this medically in a favor of new concept called brain death. So if someone is not responding by its heart or lung, we can use lung bypass machines, or we can use mechanical respirator, we can use instruments to revive that thing back or to resuscitate that person. So that's why we have one new word, that is brain death. Okay, so we all know that we have a tripod of life. So it is heart, brain, and lung. Okay, so if heart stops or lung stops, but if brain is working, that person is not dead. Okay, so earlier we used to say that if heart is not working, that person is dead, or if lung is not working, that person is dead. But now we have a new concept, that is brain death. Okay, so we say that if something is irreversible, if there is an irreversible loss of cerebral function, then there is the situation, then that is the situation of brain death. Okay, reversible loss of cerebral function. Okay, so now let's understand brain death. It is of three types. First type is cortical or cerebral death. Cortical or cerebral death. Then we have brainstem death, and then we have whole brain death. Okay, what are the different types? Cortical, brainstem death, and whole brain death. Clear? Now let's understand one by one what are these different types of brain death. So first one is cortical or cerebral. So we all know that cerebral cortex is situated in front part. This is cerebral cortex. And if this area is not working properly, that cerebral cortex or cortical area of brain is not working properly, we can say that this type of death is cerebral or cortical brain death. Okay, it is also known as persistent vegetative state. It is also known as persistent vegetative state. In this condition, that patient is in irreversible coma. That person is in coma, and that person shows sign of severe brain dysfunction. So we have a patient, let's say, and that patient is in irreversible coma, and we have symptoms of severe brain dysfunction. If that person loses its higher level of cerebral activity, which might result from three things: hypoxic insult, traumatic insult, and toxic insult. So hypoxic insult comes when there is loss of oxygen. Traumatic insults comes from a trauma or some accident. Okay, and toxic insult comes from any toxic substance, let's say some poison or drugs, mixture of multiple drugs, that can create toxic insult. And because of these different things, that person can lose the higher levels of cerebral activity. That person's brain might show brain dysfunction, and that person's brain may goes to irreversible coma. And this type of situation is also known as cortical or cerebral brain death, and it is again also known as persistent vegetative state. In this condition, the person is not dead completely, but we can say that person is living cadaver. That person is just living, not responding to any cerebral activity, like higher levels of cerebral activity, I should say. And in this condition, the person will exist in a vegetative state because of brain stem is still intact. Okay, brain stem is still intact, which maintains the respiration and cardiac activity. So cardiac activity is fine, respiration is fine, but that person is in coma. That person will not react to any stimuli. Such vegetative people are not considered dead, but because of irreversible loss of awareness, they are considered as living cadavers. Okay, so this is first type of brain death, cortical brain death or cerebral brain death. Now we have the other type of brain death, that is brain stem death. Okay, so practically brain stem death is considered as the death of a person because the vital centers that controls respiration and cardiac activity, all those centers in the brain which is responsible for the control of respiration, cardiac activity, and other reticular pathways that awakens, and it gets lost irreversibly or permanently, then the situation is brainstem death. Okay, so in this condition, brainstem is still intact, but here the brainstem will be irreversibly damaged. Here the cerebrum may be intact but functionally cut off from the brainstem. So in this situation, cerebrum area of brain is still intact but the brainstem is not responding. The brain stem cells are irreversibly damaged. With the evident of Transplantation of Human Organ Act 1994, so we have an act that is called as Transplantation of Human Organ Act 1994. Brain death is recognized in India. So now this situation is recognized in India. According to this act, brainstem death is defined as brainstem death means the stage at which all functions of the brainstem have permanently and irreversibly ceased, and it is certified. Okay, so now we have recognized this situation in India, and according to this act, according to Transplantation of Human Organ Act 1994, we can define this situation as that all the functions which is related to brain stem is permanently and irreversibly ceased, and we can even certify that brain death is now accepted as brain stem death. Now we call brain stem death instead of brain death. Okay, because we have three types of brain death, and this is the brain stem death because brain stem cells are not responding or these cells are irreversibly damaged. The respiratory centers which controls respiration lies within the brainstem, and now all these centers which is responsible to control respiratory system comes under brainstem, and if this area is dead, the person will be unable to breathe, and after the situation that person will lose the consciousness. The crucial point in determining brain death is the demonstration of absence of all brain stem functions. Okay, so the most crucial point is that brain stem cells loses all its function, and in many countries which includes India, it is legally to consider brain stem death as brain death. Okay, so this is the main type of death. Then we have whole brain death. So it is the mixed situation. It is the mixed brain death situation which have combination of cortical brain stem death, which have combination of cortical or cerebral brain death and brain stem death. Okay, so brain death occurs in steps. So first center will be affected. Brain death occurs in steps and the cells die because of anoxia. Anoxia is a situation where we do not have any oxygen. The first part of the brain dies. The first part of the brain which dies is cerebral cortex, which follows the midbrain and then brain stem. This is the main part of the brain. Permanent cessation of the function of cerebrum, cerebellum, and brain stem is called as complete brain death. Clear? Now, why it is important to understand the situation? Because we have three important points here. If we want to demonstrate brain death, okay, if we want to harvest organs, if brain is dead, then it is really very important to harvest all the important organs as soon as possible, because respiration will stop and the circulation of blood will stop. If it is related with some legal thing, so because of that, because of legal issues, we have to understand this type of situation. We have to confirm if some person is dead or not. Third is in the determination of time of death in criminal and civil litigation. So if some case is related with some criminal case or civil case, then it is really very important to determine time since death or time of death. That's why it is very important to understand the brain death situation. Clear? So this is different types of brain death. I hope this lecture is helpful to you all. And if this is helpful, you can like the video. You can share it with your friends. Subscribe our channel for more such videos. And thank you so much again. See you guys in the next class. Till then, take care. Bye.